Okay, good morning. Good morning. We are on, I don't even know what day number it is, but we're in the mindset edit. And today we're talking about study groups and having an effective study group. So let me just pull up my notes real quick while I wait for some people to join. I got a little bit of a late start today. And let's see, here we are. Okay, perfect. All right, so I'm just going to wait a moment, see if we get anybody to join live so I can get some confirmation that you can hear me, but I'm pretty sure you can. And then we'll get started talking about study groups. So in nursing school, what happens often is that study groups just kind of become this go-to tactic for, even if you're not struggling, but just kind of a go-to tactic for how to get through nursing school, right? How to survive, how to do well in your classes. So people join a lot of study groups, but they actually can be a really big waste of time because, we're going to talk about that in just a minute, but mainly because they lack structure and they lack goals. So let's talk a little bit about my experience with study groups in nursing school. So very early on, we were taking all these quizzes for leadership class or med surg class or something like that. And we were encouraged to do the quiz with a friend so that we could see more of the questions that were in that test bank, right? Get more exposure to NCLEX style questions as a way to study and review. So we took that to mean do the quiz with as many people as you possibly can so that you can see as many possible questions. So there were a group of about 10, 15 people. I forget the exact number. It was a lot. And we all met to do our quiz for this one particular class. I think it was a med surg class. And each quiz was about 20 questions long. And each person, each question took about a minute to 2 minutes to read and process and discuss as a group and then come to the best answer. And when I looked at that and I saw how long it took for one person to get through a quiz, we're looking at least 20 minutes, more like 30 to 40 minutes to get through one quiz. And I looked around at how many people there were. I realized I don't have time for this. I don't think a big study group is going to be my jam. So that's just an example of how a study group can be a giant waste of time. When you're looking at study groups, here are some reasons why they're not always super effective. So one is they tend to be a little bit more based on social interaction than studying. And there's nothing wrong with social interaction in nursing school. It's actually really, really good. But plan those things separate from your study group. Okay, don't let study group become social hour. Otherwise, you're not going to get anything done, right? But plan, a coffee date with your classmates. That's fantastic. But don't let the two things overlap. So that's one big reason. The other I mentioned a moment ago, they tend to lack structure. Coming into a study group with no plan, just I'm meeting my study group at 3:00. That's not a plan. That's not structure. So that's another reason. Another is they don't take into account individual learning styles. So you might learn by drawing pictures and diagrams and charts and concept maps and those things. But if the other people in your study group learn by talking things out, then you're not going to benefit as much from that study group, right? And then I would say the other thing kind of dovetails with lacking structure is they lack clear goals. And a shyer, is that a word? More shy student, a quieter student might get lost in the crowd, not speak up for themselves, not get what they need out of a study group. And basically, they can be pretty inefficient, like the example I just shared with you when I was trying to take quizzes with a whole bunch of people and I realized it was going to take hours to do something that I could do on my own in about 20 to 30 minutes. So let's talk a little bit about why being efficient with your time is so crucial in nursing school. It really is the heart of being successful, is being super organized and having really, really solid time management skills. This means not wasting a single minute of your day on things that aren't helping you get get your to-do list done, helping you study effectively, helping you get closer to your goals. So time management, time efficiency, highly, highly important. So if you go to your study group, meeting my study group at 3 o'clock without a plan, without a goal, without any kind of a structure, and you're there for 2 hours, chances are you're not going to get accomplished what you actually needed to get accomplished, and now you're 2 hours behind on what you really need to do. So let's look at a few tips. This is a quick one today. A few tips for making your study group a bit more effective. So first, I am personally not a fan of study groups at all because that does not work for me, and I just find them to be really inefficient. But if you are going to have a study group, keep it small. I would say no more than 3 to 4 people maximum. Any more than that, you just run the risk of it just being a really inefficient process. So keep your group small, no more than 3 to 4 people. If I am going to study with another person, it's me and one other person, usually, not a big group. The next thing you want to do is you want to actually run this like you would a meeting at work, right? Have a set start time and a set end time. Don't just say, we're going to meet at 3. Say we're going to meet from 3 to 4:30. So that people are more motivated to get things done, more motivated to stay on task, and more motivated for you to get out on time because I guarantee you, you've got something else you need to do in 90 minutes, right? So set a start time, set an end time. The next thing I would say is set some ground rules for your study group. So you really, really want your group to stay on task and stay on track. So maybe some rules are no phones on the table, no side conversations, no off-topic discussion, no gossip hour or whatever that might be. Maybe having, guidelines around if you're going to be late. Maybe it's fine to show up late, but don't expect the group to stop what they're doing and backtrack for you. Okay, so those would be some basic ground rules for your study group. And then I would also highly recommend that you set some goals for each study group session. So that's going to be maybe on this study session, we're preparing for the med-surg exam that's on Friday. You have a very specific goal. Or maybe we are going to review the concept of shock in this study session. So you have a very defined thing that you are accomplishing. Maybe you're working on a case study together or practicing ABG interpretation or dosage calculations or rehearsing for a skills checkoff. Like, be very specific with what you're doing. And you don't have to just do one thing for the whole 90 minutes or however much time. Maybe it's from this time to this time, we're rehearsing for our skills checkoff. And then from 2 to 2:30, we're going to practice some ABG interpretation. And then from 2:30 to 3:30, we're going to quiz each other for our med-surg exam. Like, have an agenda, have some goals. And then I would set some clear expectations for how you will be conducting your group, how you'll be studying. Are you taking turns quizzing each other? Are you choosing a leader to present a topic? Are you reviewing lecture points and having general discussion as a group? Like, to figure out what way works best for your group. And that's where your learning styles come into play. I would say, use learning styles that are relevant to the class that you are taking. Obviously, a skills type study session, you want to have your that's going to be your kinesthetic learning, right? Try to go into the skills lab and actually work with the equipment. If it's a lecture style class, maybe that would be a great opportunity for talking through concepts or quizzing each other or drawing them out on the board, etc. So those are my general quick tips for making your study group work, okay? So keep it small, set a start and end time, set some ground rules, set goals, have clear expectations for how you're going to study together, and with that, take learning styles into account. So there you go. That's my quick mindset edit tip for today about study groups and how you can avoid getting involved in a study group that's going to waste your time and detract you from your goals. Okay? Alrighty. And then tomorrow we are talking about planning your schedule. So just kind of dovetailing into that time management. We'll be diving into that in a little bit more detail. If you've not really been practiced at really planning out a schedule, then I want you to come here tomorrow and we'll talk about that. Okay? Bye. Have a great day.